I'm sure every single one of you watching this video are familiar with the phrase "okay boomer." I mean, how could you not? It has taken the internet by storm. It is currently a huge fucking meme, and it's currently the thing that the internet loves to say. I know this happens every, like, 2 months or so, this big phrase that the internet loves to repeat over and over again and then drive into the fucking ground. Earlier this year, what was it? This ain't it, chief. I've seen a lot of people say that, like around, I don't know, spring of this year, and then that ended up dying out. And I know, OK Boomer has the same fate because the internet has the memory of a fucking goldfish, and whatever attracts their attention next, they're going to completely ditch whatever they're saying now to gravitate towards that new cool thing to say on the internet. But anyways, I actually have some thoughts regarding this "okay boomer" meme. I usually don't do these where I give my thoughts on memes and such, but I actually do think I have some interesting things to say regarding this meme. First off, I do really like how it has been bothering the fuck out of actual boomers lately. Some boomers I've seen have tried to actually equate the word boomer to the N word. I'll repeat, they have tried to equate boomer to the N word. Yes, let's equate this thing, this term that describes a group of people born in a certain generation that is not discriminatory at all, and then let's relate it to the word that is actually discriminatory, that actually has a very very controversial and actually very very racist past, and let's try to make the word boomer seem like that word. You are a moron if you actually try to unironically equate boomer to the N word. Anyway, again, I do like how boomers have been really bothered by this because I really like this because the shoe is on the other foot now. A few years ago, I saw so many boomers. It was like the cool thing on the internet for these boomers to make fun of the millennials and Zoomers and be like, these younger generations are lazy pieces of shit. They're snowflakes. We're not like that at all. And now, flash forward to this year when OK Boomer became a thing. All these boomers are having a meltdown, trying to say saying boomers, the same thing as saying the N word. It's ageism, all this shit. Never mind, all those years where the boomers were taking shots at us younger folk, trying to say that, we're lazy, we're useless, all of the sorts. Never mind that. Oh, they're the victims now. Boo hoo, you asked for it. You spent years and years and years shitting on the younger generations, and now the younger generations are finally tired of this shit, and are now shitting on you right back, and you're just getting a taste of your own medicine, and it's so funny that you can't handle it now that the shoe is on the other foot. Fucking babies, I swear. But anyways, dumbass boomers out of the way. I have some things to say about the people who use "OK Boomer" as an insult as well, and this might be controversial. I don't know, but I'm gonna discuss this anyway. Whenever I see all these Zoomers, and I'm a Zoomer myself, I know I also have a lot of Zoomers who watch me, and also I have a lot of millennials watching me. I think that makes up the most of, who watches me. Anyways, so this might resonate with you, or maybe this might reflect how you think about your own generation. I don't know, but when I see all these Zoomers and millennials using "OK Boomer" as an insult against people who are boomers, or in some cases people who are not even boomers, maybe even people in their own age group who have these outdated, antiquated thoughts that reflect what a boomer would think. Anyways, I think let I really can't wait for I really can't wait for 40 years to pass and see if our generation are the new boomers. Is OK Zoomer going to become a thing with future generations? Because let's think about it. Every generation, when they're young, thinks that they're going to be the generation of change, the generation to break certain societal norms, and, be progressive and never be out of touch with the later generations. And then what happens? They become exactly what they hate. They become the old, out of touch, the old farts that the younger generations love to take shots at and laugh at. And that's exactly what the boomers are now. And I can't help but think that we're destined with this fate as well. Because take a look at every other generation. This happens with nearly every pretty much every generation before us, and I don't see how we're exactly so different. Are we living in a more progressive time? Of course. I don't think we're gonna grow up to be bigoted assholes like a lot of boomers are. Of course, we're not gonna be exactly like previous generations and hold the same prejudices or viewpoints as those generations, hopefully. But I still think that we're destined to become these out of touch old farts like the boomers are currently. And we're going to see future generations shit on us like we're currently shitting on the boomers, and it's like clockwork. Everything is in a cycle, and I don't think in this case the cycle will break. I just think the cycle will repeat itself. And I've even mentioned this on Twitter. I wrote a reply to some lady who wrote a New York Times article. The tweet isn't available anymore. The tweet I replied to, because the lady who wrote it got inundated with fucking harassment. But basically, it was a really dumb article about how OK Boomer. The phrase "okay boomer" reflects how the younger generations have no respect for elders, when in reality the boomers were shitting on us and we're just shitting on them back because they've been shitting on us for years. And really, this generation is no different because every generation likes to take shots at the older generations. But yeah, apparently we're the bad guys because we're the ones saying "okay boomer," whatever, "okay boomer." But anyways, still the lady got harassed to fucking death, and I don't condone that at all. She just wrote a stupid article. It's really nothing to get riled up over. But anyways, I wrote this in reply. It's cool to hate on the boomers now, but someday we're gonna be the boomers. Future generations will mock us for our out-of-touch takes, and will probably disparagingly say, "Okay, Zoomer," as a dismissal of whatever we have to say. Kind of a depressing thought. And then, I get this in reply. I genuinely believe that our generation is so open-minded that we would never act the way that many boomers do. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I'm growing up in a world that's becoming more progressive. I truly believe we won't be like them. I mean, many of them grew up with the discrimination of race and sexuality. Many of them grew up in times where women were supposed to stay at home and men worked. We are moving forward and they are scared of this change. I doubt we will ever be scared of change. And then I write back and reply, maybe I'm just pessimistic, like I naturally am. I don't think this generation will grow up to be bigoted shitheads, for the most part at least, but I won't be surprised if we wind up losing touch with future generations and be seen as the fossils who are behind the times. And then I follow that up with, happens with practically every generation. I do genuinely hope that you're right and we break this trend, but I'm not entirely sure if we will, looking at how nearly every generation is looked down upon by the one that came before it. And then she writes, I totally get what you're saying. I'm taking the optimistic approach, and hoping we're nothing like a lot of them. I can't imagine blatantly ignoring facts and belittling another generation because times have changed and progressed. That's really what they do. And hey, no disrespect to this Morgan girl. She civilly disagreed with me. She didn't curse me out. She didn't call me any stupid names. None of that. And I was able to respectfully disagree with her as well. And we had a little discussion. And that's what I like, you know? Contrary to what many people believe, many people are like, why do you name call people so much? Why do you act like such an asshole towards people a lot? Because most of those people are assholes to me back, and I'm gonna show them the same hostility they showed me. It's just what I do, okay? And if you're able to respectfully disagree with me and willing to have a calm discussion, I am willing to respectfully disagree with you and also have a calm discussion, okay? Alright, that's just how I work. So please note that next time you want to call me out on something and you want to actually have a civil discussion and, not have any names thrown. Anyway, the problem I have with her post, though, is that optimism. We're going to be the generation of change. We're going to be the ones that break this trend, with the younger generations hating the older generations because of how out of touch they are, because we're going to be the ones that are truly progressive, and we're never going to lose touch with the younger generations. I just can't help but call bullshit on that. I'm sorry, because looking at all the other generations that came before us, the older folk, the boomers. You all know what the boomers were at one point? The hippies. Yeah, man, we're against war. We're gonna bring peace to the world. Peace and love for all. Look at where they they ended up. Now they're the fucking fossils. Now they're the ones that are pointed and laughed at, and they're the ones that have sent us into these endless wars in the Middle East. You really have boomers to thank for a lot of what's wrong with the world currently, and who knows if we can even undo a lot of what the boomers have fucked up in this world, but we can try, but I don't know if we exactly will succeed, because eventually life is going to kick us Zoomers in the ass as well, and eventually we're going to become the cynical old folks that fuck up the world even further. And this optimistic attitude of changing the world and being more progressive than previous generations, okay, sure, I don't think Zoomers will necessarily be bigoted shitheads who look down on minorities or look down on women as property and such. I don't think we're going to be that. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of Zoomers who are like that right now, but as a whole, as a majority, I don't think our generation will be like that at all, but I think we will definitely be behind the times in many different ways. And this Morgan girl isn't the only person who has, came back at me with this optimistic attitude. I've discussed this with friends as well. I've said I really do genuinely think that we're doomed to become the next boomers, like pretty much every generation before us, and I've been met with laughs or, the same optimism Morgan presented, or, eye rolls like this other person who replied to my reply to that post with a gif of Kim Kardashian rolling her eyes. Yeah, wonderful argument, dude. Wonderful fucking argument. But yeah, that's honestly where I see this generation headed towards. Maybe, I don't know, maybe by some glimmer of hope, we will be the ones to break this trend. We truly will be the more progressive generation that will bring more progressive policies forward, and we will actually be the ones to change the world for the better. It's a pipe dream, but maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I'll eat shit in the coming decades. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe in 40 years from now, I'll look back on this video and be like, what an idiot I was. What a pessimistic moron I was. I was so dead wrong regarding this. And we actually were the generation of progressivism and change. Or maybe, and this is probably more likely, I'll look back in this video 40 years down the line and be like, I called it. I was right on the money, and I could show this to other people who were once like, yeah, we're going to be the generation of change. I'll show them this video and point and laugh with them and be like, hey, at 18 years old, I called this shit. Every generation begins as the hopeful generation, the generation that will bring change to the world. I'm sure every generation, including the boomers, were told that they were going to change the world for the better. The future depends on them. The world will be in better hands when they take charge. Whew, how wrong those people were. But anyways, I'm sure that's what many boomers were told. And look, many, even like during the 60s and 70s, all these rebellious teens who, tried to rid the societal norms of the time, be more, edgy and rebellious, those were the boomers, or at least people who were born around the time the boomer generation were born in. A lot of these rebellious rock stars were boomers, or, again, were born around the time boomers were born. All these rebellious rock stars of the 70s, they're now the out-of-touch old farts. Every generation starts off as the hopeful and progressive, quote-unquote, generation for their time. And then when they become the old farts, they become everything they despise 9 times out of 10. And they become the laughingstock of the generations that come after them. It's like clockwork. The cycle just keeps on repeating and repeating and repeating to ad nauseum and will never, ever end. But I don't know, maybe I'm just being a big-time pessimist regarding this. I'll admit I'm very pessimistic when it comes to everything, really. I'm just naturally a big-time pessimist. I don't think that invalidates my point at all, but still. Anyway, have fun continuing to pummel the saying "okay boomer" into the ground because it's still totally hilarious and original. Definitely. And have fun calling me a boomer, too, because I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get some okay boomers in the comment section. No real arguments against what I'm saying, just okay boomer because you don't like what I'm saying, okay? Have fun saying that in the comment section if any of you feel compelled to say that in response to anything I said in this video. Enjoy it while it lasts, because before you know it, you're going to become the old, cynical, out-of-touch fart that you once despised, and anything you have to say will be dismissed with "okay Zoomer" in response, and you're gonna be angry and all up in arms over it. That's all I have to say. Bye bye.